where are you pretending to want less than you truly desire? And where can you push yourself to just be in the wanting, not wanting so that you immediately that have the instant gratification of having it, but being honest and truthful enough with yourself to hear from yourself what you desire, your biggest, boldest, most audacious dreams. And then can you manage all the feelings that come up? Can you be in the waiting as you're wanting long enough that those things can actually manifest, that those things can actually come into your external reality? Welcome to Another Way Through, a podcast featuring stories of folks who used to trade their authenticity for safety and acceptance and have found their way to lives filled with greater peace, joy, and freedom. These stories will remind you and affirm for you that if you're thinking of following that inner voice telling you that there's something bigger out there for you, even if it's a little bit scary, that there's another way through for you too. Let's get into the episode. My mentor recently shared a quote with me that was, "What gets in the way of the goal is not the obstacles, but a clearer path to a lesser goal." And when I really thought about what that meant, it was that for so long in my life, it's not that I didn't fully know what I want or that I wasn't sure really how to get there, was that the path towards something that other people thought was good, that other people thought was worth wanting, was right there in front of me. It was very well paved. It was easy. And it felt like there was this instant gratification of people cheering me on by being like, yes, you're on the right path. Good job. And so for so many years, I was doing what was expected of me. I was following the corporate ladder and achieving and striving for that next promotion, and then for that next job that was more impressive or got me in closer proximity to the folks that were the most senior leaders or the most impressive folks. And I realized after a while, after many, many years of doing that, maybe achieving peak high achiever status, that really wasn't me. I had confused doing what I was good at and doing what I was getting pats on the back for as like my whole personality, as my desires for myself. And in recent conversations, really reflecting on this with my parents, mind you, this is not a podcast where we blame parents or where we blame our families, but it is one where we tell the truth about how human psychology works, that the people that taught us to be humans, who received survival programming from many generations of folks that allowed them to even be here, taught us to be human and taught us how things work, the way things are, what we're meant to do, what is possible for us. And so in having conversations with my parents, I am able to learn a lot, and not from a place of I wish they would be different or they better get better, they need to learn to do right. But how is what I'm seeing them do that maybe isn't serving them something that I picked up and something that I carry forward as something that I think is normal? And so recently, I'm deciding on this podcast how much I want to tell stories about my family. And so that's why I'm taking a pause here. But recently I was having a conversation with my mom about she was visiting me, and she knew that I was really busy. I'm an entrepreneur, I have things going on, but I had taken several days out to just visit with them and to tour them around. And I told her there is one thing I need to do that whole weekend in the 3-4 days that you're here. So in the evening on Saturday, I'm going to go to this event. And that morning, on Saturday morning, after I told her, I just have something in the evening, she texted me saying, you've been so accommodating. You need a rest. You don't need to take us around today. You don't need to visit with us. And I know this woman. I know her very, very well. And I could feel and sense that she deeply wanted to hang out. She really wanted to spend at least the morning with me. And that was always my intention. That was my plan. But I realized that what she did was say that she wanted less than what she actually wanted as a way to sort of temper her own disappointment or temper her own expectations around what she might get. And so I said to her, Mom, I know you want to hang out, and I also want to hang out with you. And that was the plan. And so we went and had our morning, and then I went and attended the event, which was lovely, and it was really what I wanted to do. And I was reflecting on a friend on that incident with a friend at the event. And I was like, in the past, I probably would have just dropped everything and not had the boundary to say, I'm going to go hang out and go to this event on Saturday night. And I would have spent the entire day with my parents. And there would have been no question that I would have just dropped everything that I had going on to be there with them and to do what I thought that they expected of me. And so there's always this sort of dance of like, what is really going on? What do you really want? And are you actually allowing yourself to want what you want? And so in my journey and really reflecting on what is it that I desire, what is it that I care to experience, I'm going to ask for what it is that I want. I'm going to shoot for the moon. And if people can't meet me and people don't want to give it to me, I can also manage my emotions through that. I can feel the feelings that come with the disappointment or the grief or the rejection that comes, but I'm not going to pretend that I want less than I want anymore. I realized recently that I was filling in what I really want is blank. That blank that I was filling in was really what I thought I could get. When it comes to clients, when it comes to my goals, when it comes to what I was expecting of my friends and my relationships, it was things that I thought that they would be willing to give me. I was deciding that before asking, before allowing people to meet me and show up for me, or for people to blow my expectations out of the water. And I realized that it's very cliche, but it's so true. And I was thinking about the saying of like, shoot for the moon and you'll still land again amongst the stars, right? If you quote unquote fail. But if you're shooting for down here and you get even less than that, you're just gonna be very disappointed all the time. And I realized that leads to a lot of resentment and anger and just honestly being like really sad all the time if you're just walking through the world saying this is good enough. In a lot of conversations that I've been having with clients, I think this comes from deeply rooted survival programming that we pick up that says you should just be grateful. You should be grateful for what you have. There are so many people out there that have it worse. We are just now getting to a point where, people from my culture, right? We are just now getting to a point where we have this level of freedom and these rights, like don't ask for more, don't ask for too much, put your head down. You've got to work twice as hard to be half as good, all of those things. And I am saying no more to any of that. I'm saying we now are deserving, we are owed far more than we've ever been given. And if we already preemptively reject ourselves by pretending we want less than what we want and not actually asking for the full thing, and we get even less, that's where you start to really breed a lot of anger and a lot of resentment. And I think that what we're really striving for is the ability to have deep connection with ourselves and with others. And this is a little bit controversial, but I've been talking a lot with my partner about the sort of discourse about, men and women. I'm entering already into the gender wars and all of that. But where people are asking for things like to get everything paid for or to be flued out and all of those things. And what I've realized, or at least, and maybe we all just have different preferences, but my belief is that what we're really desiring is deep human connection, to be seen, to be loved, to be deeply chosen, to be provided for and cared for. And we are accepting something less that is, oh, this person's giving me money, this person's buying me things, this person's taking me out to dinners that are nice. And it's like, yeah, but are they showing up for you fully? And I'm not saying it's an either or. I'm not saying you have to choose one or the other, but don't accept less than what you truly want just because it feels safer. It feels like you're less likely to get rejected. You're less likely to be hurt. Are you strong enough? Do you have the capacity to hold yourself through all of that, to experience the full range of human emotion? You're not meant to only ever experience the good and only ever experience happiness and joy and never feel any sort of difficult emotion. You are given the range of human emotion for a reason. And so the more capacity that you have to hold the grief and the challenging emotions, the more capacity you are to actually fully experience your joy, to fully experience your happiness, because so many of us have been taught that we need to wait for the other shoe to drop, that if it gets too good, something bad is about to happen, something might come. And that may be true. Trust, this world, we look at everything that's happening. The good and the bad is always happening. But are you going to be so concerned about that other shoe dropping that you never allow yourself to experience joy in the first place? Are you going to prevent yourself from being honest and being true with your friends, with your loved ones, your potential partners, with your potential clients, all the people that you are meant to connect with, when you're saying, it's okay, I don't really need that thing, or like, yeah, don't worry about it, like no pressure. And what you truly desire is to be deeply connected and to be deeply supported and deeply seen and celebrated, and to express yourself fully. And when you stop yourself at the place of, I'm too fearful that I will receive rejection, you never get to experience all of the people and all of the environments that are waiting to welcome you, that are waiting to accept you with open arms. And as someone who for just so long was hiding, who had a desire to be seen and to shine and to put myself out there and to share my story and to yap and to do all of the things that I find really enjoyable, I was shrinking myself and hoping to prevent myself from experiencing any rejection or abandonment like I'd experienced when I was really young. And I was also preventing myself from experiencing the level of deep connection and joy and love that I now get to experience being on the other side of those fears. And so I invite you to think about and reflect on, where in your life are you still hiding? Where are you pretending to want less than you truly desire? And where can you push yourself to just be in the wanting, not wanting so that you immediately that have the instant gratification of having it, but being honest and truthful enough with yourself to hear from yourself what you desire, your biggest, boldest, most audacious dreams. And then can you manage all the feelings that come up? Can you be in the waiting as you're wanting long enough that those things can actually manifest, that those things can actually come into your external reality? And that journey, it takes a while. I'm going to share one more anecdote on this. It's from OG manifestation guru, Abraham Hicks. He talks about this idea of being on a road trip. And I will use a more relevant road trip example for me. Say you're driving from the Bay to LA, and that's a 6-hour drive, or 5 hours, depending on how you drive. And for 99% of that trip, you are not in LA yet. You are in the middle of Highway 5, passing the cows. It looks nothing like the destination. But somehow we know as humans that, you're driving in a car and you see the road passing you by. So you're making forward progress. But again, for 99% of the time, you're not there yet. So what would it look like if you were to say, I'm not there yet. I knew I would never make it to Los Angeles. Los Angeles is not possible for me. I'm going to just turn around, or I'm just get out of the car here and just be like, call it a day, right? It sounds a little bit crazy. And yet that is what we do so often with our desires and our dreams, is that 99% of the work happens behind the scenes, happens energetically, happens in your everyday consistent actions towards that future dream, that future goal. And we often just get so worked up and scared and afraid that it's not going to come through for us that we cut ourselves off before we can get there. And so I invite you and implore you to manage your emotions and your expectations for just long enough for the things to come through. Stay tuned for more stories, more lessons from my journey, from the journeys of others who have made it through to the other side. And follow me for more on Instagram at Tap Into Your Wellspring, and subscribe on YouTube or wherever you find your podcasts. Bye. Bye.